I wasn't asleep. I hadn't been for hours. My body was doing that thing where it lies very still, as if stillness might persuade the pain to pass faster. The doctor had called it normal recovery. A phrase so broad it felt fictional. I was on the couch because the bed felt too big. And because the couch was closer to the bathroom. And because I didn't want to commit to anything that looked like rest. The phone buzzed on the coffee table. Not loud, just enough to announce itself. I read the message once. Then again, can you still watch the kids tomorrow? Your sister needs a rest. There was no greeting. No acknowledgement. No mention of why I was on that couch instead of at work. Or why my calendar had been empty for the past week in a way it never was otherwise. It was written in the same tone as always, efficient, practical, mildly inconvenienced. I didn't feel angry right away. That came later. First there was a strange blankness, like my brain had stepped back to see if my body wanted to respond on its own. It didn't. My thumbs hovered, obedient by habit, ready to type something reassuring and small. I'll see how I feel. Maybe just for a few hours. Let me check. I put the phone face down instead. Time passed in uneven chunks. My abdomen cramped. The kettle clicked off in the kitchen where I'd forgotten it. I didn't get up. I kept thinking about how the words still worked in that sentence. As if nothing had changed. As if this were a minor interruption in an otherwise dependable schedule. When I finally picked the phone back up, I didn't open the text again. I opened my email. There was a thread I'd been ignoring for months, filed away under the mental category of temporary arrangements that somehow become permanent. It was from a law office. Dry subject lines. Attachments with names like statement and confirmation. The kind of emails you don't read closely once you trust the system they belong to. I had started paying my sister's mortgage 2 years earlier. It wasn't dramatic. She'd been overwhelmed. There was a job change, a gap, a few months that stretched longer than planned. I had savings. I didn't have kids. I lived closer to work. It made sense. Everyone said thank you at first. Then they stopped mentioning it. The payments continued. Automatically. I told myself it was easier that way. That I didn't want to be the kind of person who kept score. That family didn't work like that. The lawyer had been assigned because my name was on the account, not as an owner, but as a guarantor. A safety net. A backup. Someone had to manage the paperwork if anything ever changed. Something had. I sat up. The movement made me dizzy, but it also made me clearer. The house was quiet in a way that felt earned, not lonely. I dialed the number before I could start narrating my own hesitation. The lawyer answered with practiced calm. She asked me to confirm my identity. She asked if I was calling about the property. I said yes. My voice sounded flat but steady. I didn't explain anything. I didn't say miscarriage or family or how tired I am. I said I needed to update my involvement. She didn't react. She explained the process. There was a clause. There always is. A document to sign. A transfer of responsibility. A timeline that would be honored because that's what timelines do when they're written down. Are you sure? She asked. Not unkindly, but thoroughly. Yes, I said. 5 minutes later it was done. Not finished exactly but irreversible. The kind of decision that moves forward whether or not anyone agrees with it. I set the phone down and read it to feel something big. Relief. Guilt. Triumph. None of it came. What I felt was a quiet alignment, like when furniture finally sits flat after wobbling for years. The group chat didn't explode right away. At first, there was just one message from my mom. Did you see my text? I didn't answer. Then my sister, what's going on? The bank just called me. Then my mom again, this time longer. The punctuation sharper, the notification stacked. I watched the screen light up and go dark, like a pulse that wasn't mine anymore. I read some messages. I skipped others. I didn't scroll back to remind myself of context. I didn't need it. My sister accused me of bad timing. My mom asked how I could do this now. An aunt chimed in with concern disguised as confusion. No one asked where I'd been this week. No one said my name in a sentence that didn't involve logistics. When the lawyer's follow-up email arrived, it was almost anticlimactic. A formal confirmation, dates. Next steps, authority, neatly packaged. I forwarded it to the group chat without commentary. That was the moment the tone changed. Suddenly there were phone calls. Voicemails. Messages that used words like family and support and after everything we've done. My mom's voice, when I finally listened, was unfamiliar, strained, wounded. As if something had been taken from her rather than withdrawn. I didn't call back, it wasn't revenge. I didn't feel satisfied. I felt tired in a way that was clean, not muddy. Like the exhaustion after a long day where you know exactly what you did with your time. That night, I slept for 3 uninterrupted hours. It felt like a small miracle. When I woke, the pain was still there, but it was contained. Manageable. My phone was quiet for the first time in days. In the morning, I made coffee and drank it slowly. I thought about how often I had confused usefulness with love. How easily I had stepped into gaps without asking who kept leaving them there. I didn't resolve any of it. I didn't promise myself a new version of the future. I just stayed on the couch in my own space, unavailable by default. The messages eventually slowed. Some bridges would need time. Some might not hold. I allowed that uncertainty to exist without rushing to soften it. For the first time in a long while. No one was waiting for me to make things easier. And I didn't.